sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at ubnradio.com.
Like that? Welcome to a cool version.
Super cool.
Of Security Guy Ready. With Chuck, I wear my sunglasses at night. And Hillary, welcome back.
Aw, thank you, Chuck.
Good to be back on the show.
It is super nice to be back.
How's
on
my
your show.
thespian?
I am well, thank you.
No, that's not what you said at the break. You said you were not. You said you were tired. What happened?
Okay. Well, I'm a little tired. You know, you get a little older. You're the mom to a little person.
And all that acting you're doing.
And you get into rehearsal, and then you open, and some travel on top of that. So
I got to tell us about your show now. Where are you?
I'm in a production of Much Ado About Nothing at Archway.
That's an appropriate title for this show.
Yeah. It's at the Archway Theater in North Hollywood.
All right.
You can get tickets at archwayla.com. Sorry, shameless plug.
No, it's not shameless. It's what we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, come out and see it. It's a great
good,
cast. It's beautiful.
Good.
Yeah.
I saw a couple little clips on social media about that. Look good.
Yeah, it's a really good. It's a strong group. It's exciting. It's
You
fun
look
to
like
be
you
there.
were playing a wench of some kind.
I play a lady in waiting.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, you need better attire, I must say. It wasn't very alluring, I must say, was it? It was.
Well, it's meant to be. I'm supposed to play a maternal role. I'm not supposed to be the.
Okay. Not the hot lady in waiting.
Not quite.
Okay, that's fine. That's all medieval stuff. Who knows what was hot back then? It's kind of hard to say. Everything was, acceptable, I suppose. I'm very happy, very proud of you.
Thank you so much.
And I will try to make that.
Okay, thank you for.
Now, I suppose you're wondering why I say
having
a
me on.
cool version today.
Yes, please.
I'm having trouble with all these microphones and cameras. So somebody said, you know what? I saw your show last week, and you're sitting there. You look like the insipid Mr. Somebody, because when the guest is talking, I don't know what to look at, because you weren't here and Paul wasn't here, right?
No.
So what am I supposed to?
So you're by yourself.
What am I supposed to look at? Am I supposed to play checkers?
Look in the mirror, show your true ego.
So I thought. So he says,
side.
wear sunglasses like Howard Stern does, and it doesn't matter what you look like or where you're looking because nobody can tell. So what do you think? Is it going to work?
I don't know.
Look at the camera. Look.
I like seeing your eyes.
Maybe
but
I'll take it. Oh, now there you go again.
I'm sorry. Is that naughty?
Well, it's trying to be seductive, I must say.
A little flirtatious.
Well, I could say a four-letter word, and since you're a sapiosexual, that may somehow, cause this to.
I like smart people. You're smart people.
I know, that's good.
And
Well, I
it's easier
appreciate
to
that.
tell somebody is smart if they look you in the eye.
Well, it's funny you should say smart, because I just happen to have something very smart that I got in the mail today.
Tell me.
So we're going to do a contest today
Okay.
for our new station here at UBN Radio. I forgot to plug for UBN Radio, so say hi to ubnradio.com. Did I tell you about this Track It thing?
No.
So I was on, I don't know, it was GoPro or Indigo or one of those things, because I'm going to do a GoPro campaign myself. We'll talk about it in a minute. And I saw this thing called Track R Bravo. And it's a small, I'm going to hold it up to see the camera. You see that, Jarvis? It's just a little device about as big as about a quarter maybe. And it attaches to a keychain. It attaches to your dog's collar, to your kid's shoelaces, whatever it is. And it creates a personal area network through your Bluetooth and your phone on the app that you can find whatever you lost. And I thought, that's great, because I'm always losing my keys. I'm always losing my GoPro. In fact, I left my GoPro at a party the other day. Lost it again, but somebody found it, right?
Bummer.
Of course, the problem is if I lose my phone, I can't put one of these on my phone because I need my phone to find it. But you could find it through that, right? And so I ordered a bunch of these, and they finally got produced, and they're in. And in theory, if I left my keys at the beach, if someone else is using the software at the beach, that network would find it, even though I'm 50 miles away. It's really a close area network mostly.
That's cool.
And it happens to have security. Look at that, Security Guy Radio embossed on there. No, engraved. Engraved. Well, it could be just a.
I don't know. It says Security Guy Radio right on there, and that's cool.
It could be a piece of tape. Maybe it's not anything fancy, but
you are cool.
Yeah. So we're going to give this away. So, if anybody's listening, and is this on? I don't want to say if anybody's listening. Send me an email to chuck@securityguyradio.com. That's chuck@securityguyradio.com, and I will send you one of these. These are really cool to have. Works on your mobile phone for your app.
Can I attach it to my toddler?
No, actually, you can. People do that kind of thing. Right, so if you're at the mall, you put it on a little clip and you attach it to his belt or something like that.
And then I can just let her roam free.
Roam freely. That's right.
Nobody would call social services if I did that.
With all the velociraptors and everything running around,
gosh,
you look it on your phone and everything. Yeah, it's kind of cool. So that's a good thing. So send me an email to chuck@securityguyradio.com and we'll send you one of these as the first person that sends it in. All right, now, let's see what else I got to talk about here. Look at my notes. Oh, did I tell you I'm doing a GoPro campaign?
You were about to.
Okay. GoPro. I get all my things mixed up. My acronym. No, a GoFundMe campaign.
Okay.
All right. So I'm really bothered by all this police stuff. As you know, being a former police officer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of bugged about the shootings, and we just had a poor officer assassinated in Texas yesterday, and it's just terrible. And what?
Wait, I'm sorry, really quickly. So you're bothered by what you feel is an attack on police right now?
Well, it's not that I feel.
No, I'm asking you to
I'm
clarify.
not liberal. I don't feel. I just know.
You know that police are under attack right
Well, the
now.
guy was assassinated. It's a serious story. I mean, the guy
Okay,
at the gas station, he's
continue.
pumping his gas.
Because right now when somebody says police shootings,
Yeah.
the first thing that comes to their mind is not generally that the police are being shot at.
Oh no, it's both. By the way,
So
see
I
why
just
we have you
wanted
here?
to-
It's perfect
I
clarification.
just wanted to understand
Right.
what
No,
you were saying. So please
You-
continue.
Thanks for the clarification.
Sure.
So it's absolutely true that a police shooting could be police involved where they're shooting or being shot at.
Which is a big epidemic and problem in our country right now.
Actually, it's not.
It's
but
not?
No.
Oh, I
but
didn't
that's
realize. Thank
but
you,
that's
Chuck.
part of the GoPro camp.
Oh, okay.
The
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe campaign that I'm
Uh-huh.
going to do. Right. But I'm concerned about these assassinations. I mean, this is fueled by social media and the fact that the police do not own their image anymore. The media owns their image. So my idea is to raise some money, get my car, drive around, stop at the Piggly Wiggly, and say, "Hey, what do you think about your police department?" "Oh, I think they're a bunch of goose-stepping Nazis who want to assassinate us." Okay, that's one view. Let me go to the police department and say, "Hey, what do you guys think? Why do they think this about you? Let's get the facts. Let's get the story out there."
I certainly like the idea of bridging relations between the community and the police. I think that despite what I might consider to be a different perspective than yours, the idea of increasing communication between our police and our community is an admirable cause.
Yeah, the facts aren't there. There are problems. I agree with you, right? But they're not the problems caused by what you think they're caused by. And
I would suggest that your view is slightly biased given
No.
your
Oh, no.
blue shield.
Oh, no. There's
that
been
you
plenty of
carry.
shootings that I've seen that I said there's no way that can be justified. I'm the first one to say no on that.
Okay, good.
But a poor police officer who's pumping gas at a gas station and on camera, a guy walks up behind him and shoots him back of the head.
Of course, there's no
that's
excuse for violence.
out of control.
There's
Yeah.
no excuse for violence in any case. I just think that people right now, when you ask them about police shootings, I would be surprised if the first thing that came to their mind was a cop that's been shot. I think the first thing that comes to their mind are the number of bystander videos that people have seen of police using excessive force. And so when you're on the street, which I super support you doing that, and I hope everybody goes to your GoFundMe site and supports you, that you might just be a little bit surprised that not everybody has the perspective that you have as a former cop, Chuck.
Well, no, it's interesting. There was a shooting down in a shooting of a civilian who was mentally ill. He got shot in his car. The family called up and said, "Would you please get my brother out of the car? He's a little wacky. We just want to take him in for an evaluation." And the sheriffs wound up shooting him 37 times. It happened about a month ago, right?
Crazy.
And make a long story short, the guy's brother is a police officer. The guy's brother was there saying, "Hey, what are you guys doing? I just need to get him out of the car. We don't need to, tase him." And he got tased and he got shot.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate, right? So not a good shooting to my mind, right? So I'm on both sides of that. I try to pick what the proper training is.
And we had a discussion about this before, about the escalation of force.
Yeah.
And how there seems to be a definite increase in the escalation of force, that the ability to diffuse tense situations is sort of a lost art.
Oh, it absolutely is.
And I think that perhaps through your project, you'll be able to help communicate that.
You know what's interesting about that posting on Facebook, and you guys can go to my Security Guy Radio Facebook page. I think we had 165,000 views and 100 comments. And the majority of comments were, "What would you expect about that shooting?" What would you expect the comments would be?
About the mentally challenged person?
Yeah,
who
the
was
guy that
shot?
got shot 37
That
times.
it's tragic, despicable.
Nope.
Really?
Good shooting.
Really?
Don't mess with the cops.
Wow.
If you're not going to obey the cops, you're going to get shot. That's what happens. I
Wow.
was completely surprised by that.
But you like that answer.
No, I don't like that answer.
You don't like the
No.
be polite under any circumstances, never talk back to a cop answer?
Well, that's a behavioral issue. I can teach people how to behave during anything. And by the way, if you and I weren't civil, we wouldn't have a good show, right? So you got to have basic etiquette. I'm
Is
talking
this what
about
civil looks like?
Well, not exactly, probably, but no. But the guy, he was literally, diagnosed bona fide clinical
right.
problem, and
Mental
they
illness,
didn't
big
handle it
problem.
in the way I would have handled it, as far as taking your time, and there's no rush, and you're just gonna get him out of the car, and 37 times, it's problematic. And I was surprised that people weren't saying that's not really what we should do with people that are sitting in a car and you're asking them to get out of the car, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's 50-50. And I think
we
the reason
definitely
is
we have
there's no
a split.
education on it,
We have a big split in this country, and it's a split over cops, and it's a split over gun culture. And I think you are an excellent person to go bridge that gap.
I think I'm in the middle on that.
I do. I agree.
I think you may have to fly into certain locations and join me to balance out this equation. We'll see what happens.
It would be my
We got to get the money first.
Go get it.
We'll
Go
see what
fund
happens.
me.
Now, it's funny. Just a coincidence we should be talking about this kind of thing.
Yes.
Because I have a guest that's not going to talk about this sort of thing.
Please.
Not going to talk about
right now, please. Let's talk about something else.
But very closely related, because what is this all tied to? Personal safety, personal security. And what do I always say? All security is personal.
Yes.
All security is local. All security is now. It's not the government protecting you, building a wall around you. It comes down to you and I sitting next to each other. And if we both behave, we're both safe. And if we don't, one of us is not safe. That's the police can't do anything about that, right? And neither can your neighbors or anybody else that's watching. But I was on Twitter as funny story. Hillary joined Twitter, a couple months ago?
A couple months ago, yeah.
And she tweets, here's my first tweet, and within 30 seconds, her first follower was Chuck
Harold.
Right? So I live and I go through Twitter all the time. And I can't remember how it happened exactly, but I came across Violet Alexandre and FABRIQ and talked about her product, and I thought, okay, my head's hurting getting around how this works, but I think there's something there that is really remarkable and visionary and cool. And then I tweeted her back and said she should come on the show. Then we started talking, and that's what she's here today, because her API platform is what we're going to call it. We're going to call it an app.
Okay.
Is kind of a unique thing. And I was thinking, what app on my phone could I use her platform with as like a test, right? And I kept thinking, looking at all my apps. And I go, what's an app that I don't really use that much? Because that would be a good test to see how her platform works. And then what did I think of? SecurityGuyRadio.com. The mobile app, which I never use. I should use it, but I don't.
You should use your own app, Chuck. That's
Miss Violet, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm well, Chuck. Thank you for having me.
Skyping in from where? Where are you Skyping in?
Boulder, Colorado.
Oh, Boulder, Colorado. How cool. All right. And we can see you on the camera here. And can you see me now, or are you still not connected?
I cannot see you, but I'm talking to a beautiful empty room, and I'm excited to talk to you and Hillary.
Well, it's probably just as well you can't see me.
She's operating in the blind.
That's
it's
right.
Probably a good choice.
All right. So, Violet, I want you to tell us what's your we're going to call it an API platform. We're not going to call it an app because it's not an app. It's the, well, you know what? It's the app of apps in a way, because your platform takes any application on your phone and integrates safety and security into it using the existing code on your phone. In other words, you don't need 25 applications, one for running, one for hiking, one for dating, one for drinking, one for driving. You can take all those existing applications and with your FABRIQ platform, weave them all together and integrate safety and security into them. Did I say it correctly?
That is definitely right. I'm sure for the general public, they're probably thinking, what the heck does that mean?
Yeah, please, Violet, please help me. I don't understand.
Well, I was close.
I was trying to follow along, but Violet's going to help me understand.
All right.
So let me back up. Hillary, I know you're a mom.
Yes.
You're probably going to relate to this story. We actually started our life out as an app. So I had moved to Boulder and had only been here about 2 months, and I was out running, and it was a couple days after a snowstorm, and I had my son in the running stroller, and I was about 20 to 30 minutes out on a path, and I slipped on some black ice, and the whole stroller and my son started pivoting to a frozen creek.
Scary.
It was pretty bad. and I'm out, and you'd have to be in Boulder to understand, but the path is totally confusing, and I had no way to explain where I was. And so I'm trying to call my husband, and I reach him, but I'm like, wow, I don't even know how to explain to you how to come help me. So long story short, I ran home. My son never even woke up. That's kind of the comical part.
Right,
the
miraculous.
Entire stroller flips. He stays fast asleep. I'm banged up and I'm freaking out, and he's just fast asleep. But so I get home and we're like, wow, this is bad, and there must be something out there to address this kind of situation. So my husband's a techie, and so he goes and he's like, there's got to be an app for this, but I know you're never going to use a safety app. So he starts looking at all the fitness apps, and he's like, oh, there must be a fitness app that has safety, and basically finds that, no, there's nothing out there that met the safety needs in a meaningful way. So he decides, well, I'm just going to build it on the side for fun. So he builds me an app.
Awesome.
And the app combined fitness and safety. Fast forward a couple months, and basically we step back. We're talking to people using our Run Safe app, and we're finding out that they're using Run Safe when they go to show houses because they're a realtor, or they're using Run Safe because they're going on an online date. But they're runners, so they have the app and they're using it anyway. And so we stepped back and we said, wow, there's this gap. You know, there's lots of apps out there that people download for safety, but there's not safety that's just accessible in the apps that people are using for specific situations. So that just like whenever you're in whatever app you're using, there's safety's just not sitting there running in the background.
Right. In fact, sometimes it's unsafe, the app you're using, and you don't even know it. Very unsafe.
Absolutely. Like think of Tinder or
very
Tinder,
unsafe. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we're like, well, if we integrate our safety platform into the apps and wearables people are already using, that's really how we can have a meaningful impact on safety. And so what we do is we approach app companies and wearable companies, and we integrate our platform into them, and it's safety powered by FABRIQ. So most of those companies, they don't want to own the safety component. They actually don't even want to bring up the safety component.
Right.
But by integrating our platform, we own it, and then the safety is accessible to the user.
Now, when you say wearables, we're not talking about my Hanes boxer briefs.
No, we're talking about like Fitbits.
Okay, because we have to boil this down to Hillary so she understands. She was thinking about my underwear, but that's not what it is.
I'm doing my best now not to think
Oh,
about
thank
your
you.
underwear.
Thank you.
But
All right.
I get the idea. Fitbit.
So Fitbit and those little watches that take your heartbeat and all that kind of thing, and that's a wearable. Okay.
And, I mean, the way the world is going, think of any IoT device. You were talking about a device at the beginning of the show. We could integrate into that device. Basically, we're that middle layer that can integrate into any of these things, and they can tap into the safety features we've built.
So here's what integration means to my nieces and nephews who better be listening, because I'm going to do a test after the show. You have your apps that you download, and every time you go to download an app at the store, what's the first thing that pops up? May we have permission to open up your contacts and your photos and your secret password, and can we have your social security number? And they want all this access to your phone, right? They're integrating with your phone. That's what that means. So Violet's app is going to integrate with your app that's already integrated and use some code, and it's going to turn Fitbit into now a safety and a heartbeat monitoring application at the same time. Because while you're in that app and you're jogging, wouldn't it be great to push a button that says, help, Mr. Wizard, I'm being attacked, and not have to switch applications. Say, hold on a second. Don't rate me right now because I need to change my application and push a button. So that's kind of what it does. It's amazing, right? And as the most brilliant ideas are, it's just streamlined common sense. It makes perfectly good sense to do it that way. Did I get it right?
You said it perfectly.
Perfectly. That'll be $10, please.
I liked one of the features that said that it sends out an alert to a handful of your contacts if you're in some sort of danger and have the option of dialing 911 or the option of recording automatically audio or video recording when you're in danger. Can you tell me a little about that?
Yeah. So what's interesting is that so there's this challenge, and I was thinking when Chuck started the show, he's talking about the police and the public and this issue of bridging that gap.
Right.
And it's actually interesting because we're trying to bridge a gap between 911 and text a friend. And so what's interesting is we don't have an automated call dialed to 911. So let's say you're sitting in Los Angeles and I'm sitting in Boulder, and you are my safety contact. And I go out for a run and something bad happens to me. You get an alert, but you're my contact, and you're like, you listen to the information on my safety profile. So FABRIQ creates a safety profile for you. Some of it's user generated. So I've populated my height, my weight, my picture, those details. But then when an emergency happens and a panic is triggered, there's live streaming audio, 5 minutes. And there's also GPS coordinates. If I'm moving, you can watch me moving. If I'm not moving, you're going to have my last known GPS coordinates. And now, as my contact, you're listening to the audio, you're looking at the information, and you get to make a choice. You say, okay, she's really in an emergency. Maybe you try to call me and you can't reach me. And you're like, okay, between screaming audio and this, I'm sure something's wrong. You have two options for escalation. You can either geoblast my safety profile to a radius around the emergency. So everybody on our FABRIQ network, whether in any app we're integrated with, you can push my safety profile to try to get me help. And you also have the option to be connected to my local 911. So one of the biggest issues is you're sitting in a different state. How are you going to be connected to my local 911? Our infrastructure, our architecture that we've built from a technology standpoint connects your phone to my local 911 to get me the help I need. So actually a phone call gets redirected to your phone and you're on the phone with the Peace app in my area. And so you're able to communicate everything from my safety profile to that 911 operator to get me help.
Amazing.
It's brilliant, right? It's brilliant. So here's how I would picture it. Let's say that the young lady that lives in my house, who's been downgraded from daughter because of her recent graduation and attitude about sitting at home.
This is going out into the
I
world.
know. Well, she doesn't watch the show, which is another pet
perpetuity.
peeve. Another pet peeve. But anyway, let's say she's walking through the campus at college, and she walks past Lambda fraternity, and
Delta Nu,
and so somebody goes out and attacks her. She pushes the button, and it just so happens that everybody at Lambda has Violet's application. And so when you push that button to say, let's send out a geoblast, I'm going to get 25 guys running out of that fraternity saying, oh, what's up there, girl that lives at home? Are you in trouble? And so in theory, they could all come to her aid if they're in the proximity or area. And on a campus environment, if a university, and I'm going to help you push this, Violet, because I think this is extremely important, okay? If you could get everybody, and I say this because universities do have this power to say, you come to this university, you're going to do A, B, and C. You know that's what they do, right, for a lot of things.
Sure.
One of them is you're going to use this application on your phone. And it's free or whatever it is. We're going to pay for it. And you're going to use it. And think about that. In that community on a campus, how safe that would make everybody.
My goodness, and the problems of campus rape, which is a serious epidemic in this country. Well, it certainly would eliminate a he said, she said if there's 5 minutes of audio or video that's automatically going on when somebody triggers it. That would certainly eliminate the ability to say, oh, well, that's not how I remember it.
No, it's
you know what though? Let me just throw in something here, because all these campuses have a mandate to try to have safety.
Yep.
And the idea of mandating your student body to download an app, maybe it's the college campus app, whatever. The issue is really adoption. You can mandate students to use whatever they want, but the reality is, will they adopt it? And so
well, that's a good point. I can't get the girl that lives at home to clean my kitchen, so that's a good point.
No, you can't force anybody to do anything, but I think that young women on college campuses these days are becoming more educated or ought to be aware of the crisis that's happening.
I think I know where she's going with this. I know where you're going.
I agree, but so
they're not going to use your app, but whatever app they're using is going to have
right,
in
and
it.
so that's where my vision, and we actually have a first integration partner that's really interesting, and I'm sure that any college campus that I try to approach is going to kind of be like, oh my gosh, we don't want to be associated, but drunk mode, yes, drunk mode, it's an app. And
okay, tell me about drunk mode.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that.
I'm out of the loop on drunk mode.
Well, I got to tell you, when I was in college, it didn't exist, but it's an app that college students use to find where their friends are out having fun. And so this app is just growing like wildfire. 750,000 students.
Oh, it's a lot of drinking.
They're set to be at 1 million by the end of September. Wow. And this is actually our first outside integration partner. So naturally, the app is used by people that are going out and getting obliterated on a weekend, right? But a lot of those young women have safety concerns. They go out and who knows what's going to happen, right?
And that application has no safety features. It's just trying to tell your friends where you can go get blasted with them. That's it.
Essentially, it's
geo mapping for bars.
Absolutely. Helping them find where their other friends are. The other thing it does actually, which kind of will make you laugh, You might not want to drunk modes. You might not want to drunk call someone. It stops you from drunk dialing certain people.
Obviously, now that's the greatest app ever invented.
Well, no. Drunk dialing texting is awesome.
I imagine it would be problematic for a lot of people. But what will make an app like that, which I think is brilliant, even better, is having a safety feature embedded in it. Because that's who is at risk, right? Not just a woman on campus, which is problematic by itself, but a woman on campus who is inebriated is certainly a target.
Okay, so here's what security radio thinks when he thinks of that app, okay? I'm going to think like, how old you? I didn't go to college. I don't know all the numbers. 20-year-old college guy? Is that 20 years old, right? 21?
But 18
and I'm using
20,
drunk, what's 22. It called? Drunk what?
Drunk mode.
I'm using drunk mode, my app.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go get drunk. I'm going to look on there and say, oh, look at all those girls that are drunk over here at this bar. I'm going to go hang out and watch for Susie Q to walk out, and she's drunk.
You really are in the mind of a predator, aren't you?
Well, no, you have to be to catch them, right?
Wow, Chuck.
So I might use it as a predator to find out who's drunk and take advantage of that situation, right?
Of course, this is the.
And I'm fascinated. No knock against these guys. I don't know enough about them, but I'm glad they're using your safety feature because that's frankly an invitation. Just like some of the stuff you see in all the dating sites are really invitations for stalkers. And I know a lot about stalkers, right?
Aren't you my stalker?
I am your stalker. That's why
good.
I know. I'm a nice stalker, but I mean.
Oh my gosh, you're the best stalker ever.
Okay,
I'm going to say everybody has one, so I'm thankful that you're mine.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
So I can see what they're doing with this,
but it's funny. They're smart guys. The founder, young guy right out of college. His name's Josh, and he founded this thing. And I have to tell you, he actually knows that a lot of the women have safety concerns.
Sure.
He came to us and he wanted to integrate our safety platform into the app.
So good.
And so as of September, but somewhere, as you all know with technology, the actual launch date is always kind of fuzzy. But around September 15th, they are going to have access to our signature panic button floating on their screen where they look at all their drunk friends. And if they need to hit that panic button, they can notify their verified contacts. They can also geoblast to people in a radius around the emergency to get them help. And honestly, there was a tragedy on UVA's campus. Hannah Graham, we're coming up on the anniversary of it, and the founder actually is from that college. And so there was a real urgency and desire to do something around safety and around, knowing that seconds matter. So kudos to them because they are young. They're young right out of college students, yet they're thinking that way. And we personally believe that the integration is extremely powerful. We'd love to impact safety at a campus level.
I think it's great. Now, I'm drunk. Let's pretend I'm drunk, which you may assume every show, but it's not true. It's not true. And I'm using the app. And, I've arrested a lot of drunk drivers, right? A lot of people in public that are drunk, so I get this part of it. The first thing that happens is you lose your ability to reason. First thing that happens. And then your motor skills come a little bit down the road, okay? How am I going to be able to push the panic button if my ability to reason's gone? How many false alarms are you going to get? Is there a fail-safe features or something that says you got to push it twice just to make sure that you know what you're doing and that kind of thing? How does that work?
Great questions. So false positives is one of the biggest concerns we always hear about.
Right.
So first off, it is a double tap. You also receive a countdown, and so they can cancel it. Now you're thinking, well, what if the perpetrator is forcing them to cancel? They have to have a special PIN. And then on top of that, the contact is who blasts the profile. So part of the reason why, and I mean...
The non-drunk contact, hopefully.
Well, hopefully. I mean, we have to think, a lot of them are going to use their other students.
If you're going out drinking...
But also the idea is that your contact has more ability. I mean, whether you're inebriated or not, if you're under attack, your ability to do more than just hit the panic button is limited.
Yeah, okay.
So, and the other thing is that a person doesn't have one contact usually.
Right.
We have our own proof of concept app, RunSafe, and what we've seen on average is for every person, there's 2 contacts that they verify. So, you've got multiple people that can verify if it's a concern event, and then they push the profile. So that's really, we really do solve for false positives pretty effectively that way. You
can integrate this into any app?
Any app. So, my strategy from a sales perspective, my hat is business development. So I focus on reaching out to the app companies and or wearables that we want to integrate with. And so One of the verticals we're really focused on is health and fitness, because that's kind of where we started our life. Companies like Strava, Fitbit, Runkeeper, MapMyFitness, right? And then looking at like the lifestyle side of things, think about Airbnb. There was just a terrible
Airbnb.
tragedy.
That's a natural.
That's a great one. There was a tragedy. I didn't hear about this. What happened?
It's actually so horrific. It's kind of upsetting to talk about. There was someone that was traveling, and the person that owned the home locked the gentleman up and sexually assaulted them. And
Yeah, scary.
Locked the gentleman up and assaulted him?
yeah.
That is.
Well, you don't think men get assaulted, Chuck?
Well,
And not everyone is
not
as big
me,
and strong as you
unfortunately.
are. You are quite capable of defending yourself and are likely strapped.
Now,
So
why
it's
did that
slightly-
happen?
slightly
Because I thought the
different.
people that are the renters are cleared. It's supposedly on backgrounds. Nothing's absolute, of course, but
You
it's
can
highly
do
unusual event.
everything you want to clear people, but there are bad eggs, right?
Yeah, you can't
And-
predict behavior 100%.
Yeah. I think the other thing I realized from my own situation, sure, running and falling and having my son almost fall into a creek, yeah, it's traumatic, but you don't think about your safety until something bad happens.
That's
And
true.
then it wears off pretty quickly. You know, within a couple months, you're sort of like, oh, I'm invincible again.
Yeah, that's true. So in this case, if we used it with Airbnb, this victim may have had a panic button open by his bedside, just waiting, and could have hit that immediately if something happened, right?
But it could have been on any app. The panic button can be on any app.
On any app, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
He might have
Well,
had he
so
might have had
if-
Airbnb open because he's there and he booked it, and that has a safety feature built into it to push that say, hey, something's wrong, come get me, help me out.
Let me throw in another layer, because you guys, I mean, you haven't given me this objection, but it's a natural one. How easy is it to fumble for your phone? So part of why I keep bringing up the wearable, I mean, we integrate into wearables, and that is definitely a key component of what we're doing. So any wearable we integrate with can trigger our panic button. So you think about it, and there's companies like Cuff and Roar and Revelar, and all of these companies are coming out with panic buttons.
I'm way
where-
behind. My last wearable was a Casio text watch from 1985, okay? So
Oh,
help me out with some of these wearables. Explain
Okay.
what they mean to our viewers, because I haven't heard of those.
sure. Hillary, have you heard of any of
Oh,
these?
she's
No,
way behind
I'm
me.
way behind.
I'm super high tech,
Okay.
and I missed them, so.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. Revelar, they are a Boulder company, and they have a wearable that they're designing that is a nice button that a woman would wear around her neck, and it can be triggered, and that trigger will notify contacts. But we can integrate that wearable into our platform, and it can notify our entire platform and also do everything our platform does.
Oh, because, right. So they're
like a necklace, like something that would look like a.
It's a button.
Is
So
it-
essentially, there's tons of these companies out there that are creating buttons. And or if you think of any of these IoT devices, they're all buttons. They are buttons that if you trigger, can trigger an app that's tethered to a phone.
Yeah.
So from a technological standpoint, it is cost prohibitive right now to not have a wearable device tethered to the phone. So essentially, any of these wearables need an app that they're tied to. So we can integrate with any of those wearables, and also every app that we're integrated with can be triggered by that same wearable. So for example, Cuff or Roar, which are devising more like jewelry type items. So let's imagine you had like a wearable jewelry item on your ear that looks pretty. It looks like an earring, but you tap that button and it triggers your panic in any apps we're integrated with.
That's what you're doing to me.
Wow.
That's what you do when you look at me and you pull your ear. I didn't know that's what you were doing. You're calling the cops on me. I'm going to be more careful.
They're
next
waiting
time.
outside.
I knew it.
right
I knew
now.
it.
Wow, that's
This is really
tremendous.
cool. This is very cool. So
no, because it doesn't. It's not this. It's not a whistle around your neck or
Right.
something. It doesn't. If it's part of what looks like your everyday wear, and yet it has that capability. Now you've got me.
I'll tell you where they need one.
Now I'm in.
They need one on the back of a bra. So if you try to take it off and you're not supposed to, it's going off.
Do you need
I'm serious.
Should there be a 4-digit pin for you to?
Well, you need a pin to open it. That's
To
correct.
open
But
it?
no,
Okay.
I'm halfway serious. We're only halfway
But then,
serious.
then you really know you have consent, because then you have. If you've
Yeah,
got,
well,
if
no,
you've been
if
given
so-
the code.
Well, I'm half joking though. But during a rape and you're pulling things off, if something gets pulled, and it triggers some device, right? There's something else you could make a wearable for. Seriously,
But
right?
but the idea of an earring or a bracelet or something that seems innocuous and yet has all of that capability is tremendous.
Now, here's something you probably thought about, but it just popped in my mind. So name one of those wearables again. Name.
Revelar.
So Revelar, let's say Revelar's a startup, and they have 1,000 people using it, and they're growing. And the chances of somebody being in the Revelar next to Violet at her Starbucks when something happens are remote. But let's say Violet's network has 1 million people in it already, the FABRIQ network. She's exponentially, that Revelar has exponentially grown their network automatically by doing nothing, right? And now that device of theirs is even more powerful than it would be as a standalone app. This is big.
Yeah, so you
See what I'm saying?
you stated my value proposition to any wearable company. So I'll be honest, I have probably 15 buttons sitting in our office, all of which would like to explore distribution. But from our end, we're trying to look for strategic partners where it makes a lot of sense based on the apps we're going to integrate with, because essentially then any app I integrate with, those buttons can trigger it. So like, let's talk about drunk mode. Well, a lot of those are college-aged girls. So why would they not want a pretty necklace? Or so essentially, we're giving them a distribution channel, because then when the girl goes and buys that, they can trigger our panic inside the drunk mode app and or all the future apps we integrate with. But from an honest standpoint, the challenge is we are a startup and we need these very big companies to talk to us.
What's a big one? What's in your mind a big wearable or a big
I mean, I think it depends which vertical you're talking about.
Well, for our listeners, so they could get this better. This would integrate with what? I mean, Fitbit's a popular app, right? A popular wearable.
What about Uber?
Oh, let's talk about Uber. Okay. Oh, you know what's another one?
Oh my gosh, that makes perfect sense.
Now here's another.
Because there's all kinds of people have all kinds of issues with Uber.
So let's go
magic.
back. Let's go Uber, and I
or
have
an
Uber.
Uber driver having problems and they can click their panic
Oh,
button.
did I tell you I have Uber? I signed up for Uber.
Did you?
Yeah. I use my Suburban once in a while. When
Watch out, LA.
When people like Violet aren't advertising on my show, I gotta increase the revenue a little bit at home, right?
Okay.
And you make about $20-25 an hour. It's not bad.
Is this just a reason to cruise by my house? Is this
Well,
it? Is that what you're doing?
You caught me again.
Man.
But nonetheless, I'm still going to continue. But I work. What you do is you turn it on, and you look at the map, and you always want to drive to the red zone, because the red zone's where there's not enough drivers and there's too many riders.
Okay.
And then they double your fee a lot of times, right? And where does that happen to be? It's Hollywood on Friday and Saturday night. And you are dropping somebody off, and the second you drop them off, somebody wants to be picked up. You're going call to call to call for hours, right? And on this one call, I picked up this woman, I use that term loosely, who looked like she just came out of a gulag or something and was dressed really, very enticingly. And I had to drive her to someplace way up in the Hollywood Hills. And obviously it was some high class, chicken house or something, right? And I'm thinking, okay, if two of those got in the car, or the pimp got in the car with her or something, I got a problem. I'm I'm not sure.
Are you now an accessory?
Well, there's all kinds of things that can happen, right? You don't want people doing anything illegal in your car. I think Uber eliminates a lot of that, right? But I would love to have something like this, because Uber doesn't have that feature, right? And boy, they should.
And again, I'm not the most technically savvy person. I'm a little late to even the smartphone ideas. I was late to coming to that, but I certainly have Uber on my phone. And if I don't know many people who don't, certainly in LA.
That's right. Now it's used as a rider.
It's
a rider. How would you use it?
Well, no, for Violet's product, now all of a sudden I have a safety feature. If it's integrated with Uber, I now have a safety feature on an app that is pretty much guaranteed to be on most urban people's phones.
That's right.
And
huge network there. Huge network. Everybody's got Uber. Riders, more riders than drivers. Right.
But it would make me feel, the one thing that's a little weird about Uber is you are getting into some person's car. It's not a taxi with a medallion. It's not a union car. It is a little bit different. You get past that because it's so convenient, but there is a reality where you're like, okay, this could be anybody.
Personally, I feel you're safer in Uber than taxis based on my police work in taxis, but that's another show. But I can see what you're saying.
As a consumer, that's just the first thing that I had to get past. But the idea that I would have a safety protocol running at the same time that my Uber app that's open while I'm waiting for my car and I get in my car is running, it just just seems like a no-brainer.
Are you going to feel more safe?
I would
Well, you
feel
know
a
what?
million times
Yeah,
safer.
Right, exactly.
The other thing, Hillary, I don't know if you've thought about this, but you have your social identity on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're trying to really do is allow people to have their safety identity. So any app you would log into, your safety settings would be there. So, maybe your safety settings are, I don't want an audible alarm. And then maybe somebody else wants, I want an audible alarm. And then, for some people, they know that they're going to have an automatic escalation, because there's the reality of if someone gets notifications and let's say you have 4 contacts and nobody responds, maybe as the user, as the person with your safety profile, you want it to be automatically escalated if none of your contacts act upon it.
That's important, yeah.
Right? Because we also don't want to slow it down. I think what we're really trying to do also is, and I think, Chuck, you could appreciate this, public safety has a really different idea of how we should work with them as opposed to what the public may think. And so we're trying to find a middle ground where we are solving for false positives, but at the same time addressing the needs.
Now, are you saying you're going to get some resistance from public safety people because they're afraid they're going to be responding to false alarms? Is that one of the objections?
It's been the opposite. We didn't.
Oh,
Let's just be honest.
Miss Charlotte, hold on one second. We're losing your connection there.
Oh, okay.
Little,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but you're kind of
Pixelating.
Yeah,
We'll
you're
give you a
pixelating,
second. Give you
yeah.
a second to reestablish.
Mr. Jarvis, can we do something for her? Or maybe she has to log back in. All right, let's hope it comes back. Maybe something got in your connection got interfered with or something.
Looking a little better.
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
No, it's still a little scratchy. We'll try and muddle through this. If not, we'll get reconnected. So
Okay.
I can see the police saying, like they always do because they're behind on the technology, I'm afraid that I'm going to get, in Hollywood, I'm going to get 25 false alarms for Uber every day. Well, guess what, pal? That's okay because you're going to be driving around, going to call, and you have a higher profile instead of sitting at Starbucks and waiting for something to happen, right? Now, they're shorthanded. There's all kinds of reasons why this would burden the police department. I get it. But I think that'll all work out. And,
It's the same logic that they used against 911 when it first came up.
I know.
People were going to, just call it to call it.
And it all works out. And by the way,
shakes out.
here's something people don't know about police work. When I go to the false alarm for Uber, guess what else I find? Something. I always find something to do. I find cocaine in your purse that you shouldn't have. A good cop snoops around and makes something out of the call. If not, at least you got a contact. So it's not a bad thing. So I get that part.
No, so I think all I was trying to suggest actually is what we found, and we didn't realize. Myself and my co-founder don't come from a public safety background. So we didn't realize that there was a concern around all of the mobile technology trying to tap into 911. And to be honest, I never understood that the ADT line goes to a side line that is not necessarily treated in the same way that a live caller gets treated.
Yeah, it's more complex than people think. And some have low technology at their 911 station, and some have the higher technology.
So wait a second. What happens to the ADT call? It gets sidelined?
It doesn't get the same priority.
No, it doesn't. It's not a person-involved issue, so it's rerouted. Yeah, that's why you're sitting on the phone.
And so what we're trying to do with our solution, we can solve from the lowest common denominator all the way up to the highest. So there is next gen 911 where they can receive a safety profile. But then you talk about some of the call centers where you're just going to only have to talk to a person. But by talking to the verified contact and having that verified contact have the safety profile, it's valuable. And so we've actually been in conversations with public safety, and we're finding that our way of solving it does work with the way they think. So we're trying to bridge a gap. And there's been some mandates actually that have gone out from the government saying that we need to figure out how to use mobile technology effectively. And that's where being the glue, this API platform in the middle that all the apps and wearables can plug into, that's really the value proposition we can offer to public safety.
And
Yeah.
then the cost-benefit analysis, if somebody's being protected or saved from a dangerous situation, I think you have to just roll the dice on the false alarms.
Yeah, you got to side with that. I totally agree with that. It'll all work out and become its own new way of doing things eventually by itself. But if you try to meddle with it and fix it first, it's not gonna happen. Here's an idea for you. This is a freebie.
Okay.
As long as I get a free connection to your application, okay?
Of course.
I've always had this vision. I know the technology exists. I've never found a way to do it. There's X number of policemen in the United States. I don't know, like 750,000 of them, right? There's probably 750,000 retired policemen like me that watch cops and say, "Oh, I'm going to get that guy. I wish I was in the car again." And we can jump over a fence one time, like the Toby Keith song. I'm good once again, once enough. But what if you took this application and gave it to Burbank PD, Chief LaChasse, a friend of mine over there, and he puts every cop that lives in Burbank on there, retired, reserve, off-duty guy, whatever. Even people who work for another agency, but they live in Burbank, right? And when things go to shit, he pushes the button and sends down a geoblast and says, "I need help over here. Put on your Burbank PD jumpsuit and this giant, earthquake emergency, and come help us." He'd have everybody wired. I think that is a serious application that can be used for law enforcement, maybe before the other things, right? Because police departments, you have to be careful about trying to sell them technology because they're suspicious, and they have to be. They got to be careful about that stuff, right?
Sure.
But that's just a passive application, a part of your application, and it's only going to be used if something falls apart, and it will fall apart. But now they have resources; they know everybody's there, and they can push the button and get an application, and get a response on their app.
Yeah, so we actually have a FABRIQ dashboard app that we're going to be releasing in about 6 weeks, and that would be something that, if we were able to approach like all of these ex-policemen.
Oh, I'll get you in to see some chiefs. I know some chiefs. I will. I'm serious. You come out here, and I'll introduce you to 5 chiefs. Absolutely.
All right.
No, this is serious stuff. I think this is so important.
I think he just wants you to be here.
No, I already have my person to stock. I don't have to get another one. Now, here's something else I thought about. My daughter uses. Did I say daughter? I shouldn't have said that. The girl lives at home. She uses.
You're going to regret that someday, Chuck.
Believe me, I already do. Believe me. She uses handy.com, and she was looking at TaskRabbit, but she went with Handy because of. It was easier or something. I can't remember what it is.
TaskRabbit didn't want to talk to me, so I'll have to reach out to Handy.
All right. Well, they don't get this stuff, but now
For
maybe
shame.
I think if they see this show, they're going to get it. Okay.
I hope.
Because if I get it, anybody in the technology business should get it. This seems
That's
like a
actually-
total no-brainer
That's
to
actually
me.
kind of true.
I mean, my
And
goodness.
I say that as a compliment to you, by the way.
No, I mean,
Yeah, no.
I am not technologically savvy, but what I am is a consumer.
I was
and
concerned when we did the show that
I just don't.
I would have trouble explaining it, but I think we're getting it down to noun, verb, direct, object, and I think people are getting it. So handy.com, she goes out and she cleans houses, and she turns on the phone in the morning, and she only picks houses where we live in that city, right?
Yeah.
And then she picks them, and it's 2 hours here, 3 hours here, and supposedly people that sign up for the app have been cleared, right? Mm-hmm. The other day she goes out to a call, and Letty wants her to clean the refrigerator, and she opens the refrigerator, and there's frozen cockroaches in the freezer.
Yeah.
And that's a no-no. You can't clean infestations, right? And she had to report it to Handy and blah, blah, blah. But some of the people she talks about are a little bit on the weird side, right? And it may be that she gets in that house, and by the way, she won't tell us where she's gone, because her dad could come rescue her in 5 seconds, right? No, she's not going to do that. But if she could push a button on that app and say, "Hey, now Dad, come get me," this is brilliant. I mean, this is a no-brainer, and they should be using that. By the way, there's a thing called shifting liability in security, right? One reason people hire guard companies is to shift the risk to me. So the big giant corporation doesn't put their own guards in there, because if you screw up, it's on you. You hire and outsource a guard company, so if it gets screwed up, it's on me, the guard operator, and my insurance covers it, right? So another thing I might recommend is you looking at, call Lloyd's of London and say, "Hey, will you insure me?" Because they think this is brilliant, because it's going to lower the risk for their clients, right? So Lloyd's of London, for example, at Disney, we use something called Control Risk Group, which was a company in England that vets risk, and you can log in and check about how dangerous Encino is. And we got a discount on our insurance because we use that.
Yep.
So I could see your app doing the same kind of thing, right? Hey, you use this API platform, you're lowering our risk to pay you an insurance claim. I think you guys ought to do it, and I think that would be a really.
But your whole mantra or manifesto, Chuck, about personal responsibility. This is personal responsibility. Anybody who, and it makes perfect sense, Violet, that you would have started in the health and fitness industry, because that not only that's obviously where the inspiration came, but these are people that are out in the world, often out in the world by themselves. So that makes perfect sense. Lifestyle, the people who are out on clubbing or doing what have you, they're out in the world. Who knows what could possibly happen? And what you were talking about with, I will say, the girl who lives in your house.
Yes.
People who are in the service industry, who are going into unknown quantities. You're going into someone else's home, someone else's business where you've never been before. Having this integrated into either the company app that you work for or the lifestyle app that you use every day. That's what makes what Violet's doing so brilliant, is because it's already something you're using.
It's already there.
It's not, you don't have to adopt something new. You don't have to download a new app. It's part of your current lifestyle.
So I
don't
remember
know,
It's awesome.
Hillary, would you you might relate with this, but for me personally, I don't want the idea of a leash, but I want the idea of empowerment.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I could be doing what I'm doing and have what I need running in the background, great. But if you told me to go make sure I was being monitored 24/7 and download something for that, I just wouldn't do it.
Well,
It's not me.
that's an excellent point. When the kids were younger, and by the way, my nickname was Inspector Gadget back in back in 1984. One, because I looked like him, frankly. But two, because I always had technology back in I had a computer in 1984. I was writing police reports on a computer. Nobody knew what it was, literally, right? I had the smallest tape recorder when it first came out and so on. So I had GPS locators on my kids' phones long time ago, before the smartphone stuff, okay? It was kind of clunky, but it worked. I never told my kids. And I'm not checking up on them. I just want to be able to go get them if something happens, an earthquake or something, right? Then when they found out, they wanted nothing to do with it, right? Because it's an intrusion, my privacy, blah, 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 blah. So to your point, yeah, an involuntary leash is not the same as I'm just happened to be using Uber and it's there already and what the heck, right? And that is a great sell, no doubt about it.
And it bridges the gap between personal responsibility and community, because if you are reaching out to your contacts, or if your contacts don't respond, and then you go to the larger community to take care of you, it almost makes me feel like neighborhood again, which is something that we are lacking a little bit. It's a digital neighborhood.
Here's another free idea for you. Ready? You've seemed to have thought about all my
Chuck
ideas so far.
is the Willy Wonka.
No, but she's already thought about a lot of them, hasn't she?
It's brilliant.
I know. She's ahead of me.
I've been so effusive. I'm not getting paid here, people.
Did you think about the reserve police officer thing? Did you think about that one?
I think I need to hire both of them.
All right. So here's another idea. So I'm a cop, and what reason I said I was Inspector Gadget, because I always had whatever was the latest thing. I had a flip phone, and my bill was $2,000 a month when they first came out, literally, right? A phone in your pocket. What is that? So you take the app. I'm a cop. I carry my smartphone around. When I push the button and say, "Help, Mr. Wizard," and we get my ass kicked, I got X amount of policemen coming to my aid. In a small town, I might have one cop who might be 50 miles away, all right? Mm-hmm. But if I got this app and the FABRIQ network has Grandma and Grandpa Kettle at the farmhouse across the street when I'm on Route 60 up in Sacramento, there's nobody around, and they get that, I now have civilians coming to my aid. That's a serious increase in my ability to do my job effectively and to build community with what you're saying. And I think you ought to explore that as a pitch to police departments or to cops, frankly, the police officers, to understand that. Because if I'm on the FABRIQ network, in theory, I'm not somebody straight out of Compton, the movie, where I'm going to come kill you because I'm going to come to your aid. I'm on the app because I'm going to try and come help you. That's a risk you run, I suppose. But I think that would be a great application, right? Especially in small departments where there's not a lot of people that can help. But if the citizens know you need help and they're literally next door, I mean, that's huge. That's a big one.
So that's actually that geoblast that I mentioned. That's the whole idea, which is something bad happens, you can geoblast that safety profile to everyone on the network.
But think of these users. There's all kinds of users.
And the people who are on the network are willing and able, right? It's not just...
There's probably not a duty to respond, but somebody's going to call the cops or do something. They're going to do something about it.
Right.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is, like, in the running community, right? We all know the running paths. So before my husband could have ever come and found me, another runner, if they were on another fitness app integrated with us, could have come to me way quicker.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's community, right?
Power's in the crowd,
power's
right?
in the group. That's
now,
awesome.
Devil's advocate, what do you have for reverse stalking features? Being a stalker myself, I know how to do it, right?
Sure. So, I mean, you have to verify contacts. So if you're going to sign up and create your FABRIQ profile, you're going to have to verify at least one contact.
Oh, no, that part, I'm sure you got that locked down. But I'm thinking about the geoblast.
Yeah,
I join because I'm a stalker.
As a user, you sign up for your FABRIQ.
Yeah.
and you've verified a contact. So first you have to verify you exist,
Oh,
right?
if I was a stalker, I would still have to verify a contact.
You still have to verify a contact and verify that you exist because you need a phone number associated, right?
I'll verify another stalker.
No, are you guys running in packs now?
No,
What's happening?
no, you could. Well,
I'm not trying to. It's actually a possibility.
Oh no, the Richard Ramirez guy had a partner. Remember the Night Stalker guy? Yeah, it does happen. But
It happens. It
Yeah.
happens.
I'm sure he worked this out,
you guys
but
are scaring me.
I just got to
I
play
don't wanna
devil's
be
advocate.
scared.
I got to try that.
This comes up, and we've faced this before, which
Okay.
is part of why the way we look at it is that's why it's the context choice. So in terms of if you want to geoblast, you can. But if I'm an individual that believes that there's too many people out there that would do harm, I can only verify someone so
Yeah.
much. So that's why we go to 911 as the other option. So
Okay.
you don't have to escalate to the geo radius around you. But the idea of if you've got all of these people on the network, you have to understand that you're not the only, if you're a bad stalker on the network, there could be another 50 people that are coming to that person's aid.
Well, that's true. That's true. That's right. Now, here's another idea.
Yeah.
I would recommend redundancy. I always teach triple redundancy, by the way. I'd recommend 3 contacts. I don't have 3 friends. Well, I don't want you on my network, all right? You're living in a basement with your mom, all right? I'm serious, right?
Talk to your local barista and make them a contact.
Well, they got to do something. But triple redundancy would be this. I'm dialing 911 as a backup, right? I'm dialing my friend. I think you also ought to dial the non-emergency number for the local police department, and that number would be the desk officer, right? Not the dispatcher sitting next to me, like Hillary, who's the second dispatcher, but the desk guy is bored out of his brain. He's on the desk because he got in trouble, probably. That's why they put him on the desk, and he waits for somebody to walk in the lobby and explain why they had their their phone stolen out of the seat of the car when it was unlocked and the window was open. They don't understand it, and they got to take a report and so on. Or maybe they're injured on duty, or they're just assigned that, especially in small agencies, right?
Yep.
So the desk officer can take a call, and if he routes that call downstairs to 911, it usually gets a priority and gets picked up first and not in the queue. Just an idea for you.
No, I think that's an excellent
Something to think
idea.
about. Because if the 911's busy, the average response time when I was at Culver City was less than a minute for a hot call. And that was the number one response time in the country back in the day.
Wow.
Nowadays, it's, LAPD, you're going to wait 5-6 minutes if you're getting killed. And you're going to get killed before the cops get there, usually, right? So that's why yours is so brilliant, because you have all these other people on the network and stuff to back you up. Now, Mr. Jarvis, we have about 3 minutes. We're going to try and do this. We had a little bit of a technical fade-out problem last week. It was a little rough. I want to make sure we have lots of time for you to talk about how to get a hold of you, how to email you, how to contact you, how to stalk you, whatever we need to do to make sure we get this word out and people that are listening can get your platform. So go. It's yours. You got 3 minutes.
So our website is FABRIQ.io, and it's spelled FABRIQ.io. And then as far as Twitter, it's at FABRIQ4, the number 4, life. And on Facebook, it's the same, the FABRIQ4 life. And then if you want to personally find me, I'm at LV Dreamer. So L as in love, V as in Violet, Dreamer, like I'm dreaming. But so ultimately, if I were going to send you somewhere, if you are an app company or someone that thinks that you want to get us into an app or wearable company, we will go to FABRIQ.io, our website, and we have a place where you can sign in to get access to the public API that is
That's good.
data.
So you can use the public. Jarvis, her sound dropped a little bit. It seemed like. All right. Well, I think we got it. I think we'll try and fix it in post. But so we can get the public API to test it on our apps. Is that correct?
Yeah. So any developer can sign in and sign up to be notified to get the public API.
Oh, that's good. That's good. All right.
Wow, Violet, thank you so much. I learned so much today.
Yeah, this
and
is
I
really
feel
cool.
it actually makes me want to learn a little more about the technology that's out there, because if there's a product like this and a platform like this, then maybe the 21st century has something to offer me.
Perhaps.
I'm in. I'm ready. Now I'm ready.
Well, I think the Security Guy Radio mobile app should perhaps
Clearly
use this and have a panic button.
given,
So when you listen to a bad
stipulated.
show, you could push that button and call somebody to do something about it.
Somebody save me.
So speaking of which, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter. Help me on there. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Tumblr, Pinterest, the girls' site.
Google Plus.
Google Plus. I'm missing one. There's 9. I'm missing one.
Hey, man, if you don't know, I don't know.
Well, that was close enough.
Something.
And SecurityGuardRadio.com and Security Guard Radio.
Thank you, everybody, for
Download
listening.
the mobile app. And we'll see you next week on Security Guard Radio. Thank you very much, Violet.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Chuck. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.